obviously spent a lot of time in Washington, D.C. You were at Union Station today. National Guard's there, right? So they're stationed. And, I remember seeing them in L.A. A lot of them are young guys. They're doing their jobs, right? So it's not about individuals. This is about the fact that they're just there in large numbers now. And you took some pictures that you have shared with us. So these are Lulu's pictures from today. What was it like? What stood out to you there?
It's strange right now in D.C. because it feels like a city that's being strangled. Right now, the District of Columbia, which is home to, let me remind you, 700,000 people, more than the population of 2 states, has the highest unemployment rate in the country because of what has happened with the federal workforce. Restaurant reservations are down some 30% in some places. You can't get deliveries because so much of the enforcement has targeted delivery drivers that they are afraid to come out. The Latino community is afraid. And every conversation I have with people in D.C., they all say that it feels like an occupation. This is not a city that is welcoming what is happening. It is a city that is afraid of what is happening because it is very unusual in America to see armed military on the streets of an American city. And this isn't just any American city. This is the capital of this country. And so what does it say when you have federal forces on the streets of our capital city? Democrats say it is a power grab. Donald Trump says it's about crime, but he wants to export it to other cities. What I can tell you from living in D.C. is that this is a very, very uncomfortable and people feel dangerous time.
Yeah. Well, it's, as you say, sometimes when you see law enforcement everywhere and yet you don't feel safe, the true awkwardness of that moment that you're talking about. Governor, what's your reaction to what Lulu is saying?
Well, we should remember that Donald Trump campaigned on aggressively and boldly tackling the decay and danger that he saw in Americans' major cities. And so this is a fulfillment of a campaign promise. I don't think he got into the details of exactly how he was going to do that, but directionally, that's what he said. Number two, how much of an emergency do you need after years and decades of the high crime and danger in these cities without any real sustained period of turning it around? Yes, crime's down a little compared to a high base from a couple years ago, but still in our major cities across this country, public safety and not backing law enforcement is a major concern. And President Trump has boldly, maybe over the legal boundaries, we'll see, but boldly gone in to try a case study in D.C. And by the way, the early results for the first 2 weeks per the D.C. police, it's working. There's a significant reduction in significant crime in D.C. since this started.
Well, I know, Lulu, they were saying there had been a stretch here of, 2 weeks or something? There was a longer stretch back in March where there hadn't been a homicide.
What you're hearing from the wards where there is a lot of crime, what you're hearing from those wards is that the criminals are staying home because they're not going to go out in the streets, or sure. There's not going to be a murder right now because they know that there's military out on the streets. But is this really a long-term solution to the crime problems in our cities? Is the federal government going to take over every city in America? And also, what does it mean when these people are beholden to this president and he's only targeting blue cities? As some of these Democratic governors have pointed out, a lot of the cities are in red states. Why aren't they being sent there?
Yeah, Paul?
Yeah, he didn't get elected to fight crime. Let's be honest. He got elected to lower the cost of living. And a hamburger is $6.12 a pound, highest in the history of hamburger. Vegetables, but so maybe you become a vegetarian. Vegetables are up 40%. So I don't know what we're supposed to do, eat dirt? So Trump changes the subject. He doesn't want people to talk about his refusal to release the Epstein files. I don't know why. I think he ought to. He doesn't want to talk about the fact that he's failing on cost of living. So here's the headline. Convicted felon suddenly cares about crime. If you want it, there's a federal role in crime. I worked for President Clinton. We led the largest drop in crime in American history, not by sending the National Guard, who are great guys and gals, but they're trained for catastrophes, emergencies. They're not law enforcement. They're not allowed to arrest. So here's what we need to do. The feds could do a lot here. They could help governors. They could help mayors. First off, 60% of all the guns used in crime in Chicago come from out of state. The state of Illinois can't stop that, but the federal government can. They could pass new, tougher gun laws and then enforce them. Then they could help the cops. Do you know this big, beautiful bill Mr. Trump signed, his budget? It cuts law enforcement assistance by $820 million. The program's been put in place by presidents of both parties and Congresses of both parties that have reduced the level of crime. That's why crime is down, because community policing, engaging with the community, actually lowers crime. Not a bunch of really nice guardsmen from South Carolina. You know, we need more cops and fewer guns. We do not need Mr. Trump and his private army of National Guardsmen.
So, Governor, to this point, why is, if this is really about crime, right, if that was the core thing, why is Trump not going after, well, I'm going to look at the cities with the highest crime rates and go after them, right? I mean, you can look at Chicago. Chicago's not in the top 25 of the most dangerous cities in the United States, 13 of the top 20 states in homicide rate of Republican governors. None of them are Chicago. So what about those big cities in red states? Some of the cities are blue, right? But these are cities in red states, Memphis, Cleveland. Both of them have higher crime rates than Washington, D.C. Why wouldn't they be on the list ahead of Washington if this was about crime?
Well, if you were to stack rank areas where some intervention might be tried as a case study, Los Angeles and D.C. wouldn't be irrational choices. But to your point, Aaron, there's obviously a little politics that goes into the early selections here. If he does 10 of these and all 10 are in blue states and none of them are in red states, I think your point is well taken. But we'll see as this unfolds further, both in the courts and more broadly. To Paul's point, it is not fair to say President Trump didn't run on crime. He did. He had a whole slew of events around back the blue, be pro-police, pro-law enforcement, pro-public safety, featuring illegal immigrants conducting violent acts. And so I don't think that's accurate. And by the way, if this does work as a case study,
but then he released the animals who beat our DC cops. He released those animals who tased Michael Flynn until his heart stopped.
Let Governor Pawlenty finish.
You can't get away with that.
Yeah. If this works, Aaron, if this works and there's a dramatic drop, you will not have in the future the militarization of American cities. But what you will have is a call to say dramatic increases in police and law enforcement presence makes a big difference. And to the party that was defund the police, catch and release, soft on crime, out of control borders, they should hear that message.
Paul, go ahead.
Forgive me for interrupting, Governor. I shouldn't have done that. I apologize. I mean that. But I'm passionate about this. I know Michael Fanone. I know Harry Dunn. These are hero cops. Harry Dunn on the Capitol Police Force, Michael Fanone, 20 years on the D.C. Metro Police Force. By the way, Officer Fanone voted for Donald Trump. And these animals beat him and tased him until his heart stopped, and Trump let them out of jail. Okay, you cannot tell me, or any thinking American, that Mr. Trump backs the blue. It's, in fact, Mr. Trump who has defunded the police, as I noted. When you were governor, I know in Minnesota, crime went down. You didn't put the National Guard on the streets. You had community policing. You had cops engaged with the neighborhood. So we need more cops and fewer guns. And Mr. Trump, his pardoning of those terrorists who attacked cops should discredit him in the eyes of all of us who support law enforcement.
Can I just say one final thought, which is, as we're sitting here tonight, yes, perhaps Donald Trump will take away federal forces from American cities. But instead, what he's talking about is expanding that. And so that should worry everyone.
All right. Thank you all very much. I appreciate your time. Thank you. And next, the Trump administration's efforts to send Kilmore Abrego Garcia to Uganda. Why Uganda? But thwarted for now. So what is next for the man who was already mistakenly sent to El Salvador? His attorney next, that story developing as we speak. And a former top Florida prosecutor who happened to be Trump's former labor secretary is about to sit down with lawmakers and tell all about the plea deal that he made with Jeffrey Epstein. And then Trump with a new message for Putin.
There might be very big consequences because